Hello YouTube friends, Gale's here playing another Winter Jam 2023 game. This one's called The Cookie Project, which I believe is a Destiny fan game. I haven't played Destiny in a few years, but I do know a little bit about it from what I remember. Looks really cute. Really like the main menu page with the little cookies, you know. The little ghost guy, I think that's what they're called. Really cute. Alright, let's begin. Intro. Hi, this game was solo developed by Vanade for Winter Jam 2023. You can befriend or flirt with Vanade's character Cepheus. Flirting dialogue. Option show a heart. Flirting in the first section will determine friendship or romance ending. This is a Destiny 2 fan game, but it's written for anyone to enjoy. Cool. What's your name? Gales. You're Gales. Yep, I sure am. Great, now, what are you? Oh, you get to choose your race. I'm just gonna say human. You're a human living in the last city on Earth. Tuesday. Very nice background. Really looks like a bakery. Cool. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the treats. Happy dawning. With that, the last customer of the day steps out the door, and I breathe a sigh of contented relief. The dawning is always a busy time for my little bakery, and I'm glad for the steady stream of customers eager to buy our holiday desserts. I look to the counter behind me to check the time. As I do so, the telltale jingle of the doorbell announces a new arrival. Oh, sorry, we were just about to... I lock eyes with the visitor as I turn around. He looks so desperate that the words die on my lips. His purple skin and luminous blue eyes mark him as an awoken. I've seen a handful of them around, but most of them don't live in the last city. We were about to close, but is there anything I can help you with before that? He straightens with a look of relief and gives me a sheepish smile. I'd really appreciate that. I won't take up much of your time. I'm Cepheus. This is my ghost. 4.
Hello.
I have no idea. The small orb floating at his side looks at me curiously. A ghost, huh? If I'm remembering right, they're basically battle partners for guardians, mortals with special powers. Their ghosts heal them and revive them when they die and stuff. I do see the occasional guardian around the city, but they're mostly cooped up in the tower or off fighting enemies of humanity.
And you are?
Oh, I'm Gales. I'm the owner and main baker at the shop.
Perfect. I'm actually looking for guidance from a baker.
He holds up the strange contraption he's carrying. It's an unusually small oven of some kind with a baking tray inside and some tiny scorched logs on the bottom.
I was entrusted with this oven for baking dawning cookies, but my attempts have led to burnt atrocities unfit for consumption.
He places the strange device on the counter in front of me, and I take a closer look at it. You can actually make real cookies with this tiny thing? What kind of sorcery is this? Do you have any idea of what might be wrong with it? Have you tried turning it on and off and on again? Yeah.
Gee, how creative.
Don't be rude, 4. Cepheus's admonishing glare at his companion turns into an apologetic smile for me. Okay, so the speech bubbles, this is very interesting approach. You know, usually you have the text box with the character's name above it. And when you have the character's name paired with the dialogue, it makes it clear about who's speaking. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. It makes it clear about who's speaking. But when you do it like this, where it's more like a comic book, see, I'm not really sure if it's pointing to the ghost or to the guy. I think it's the guy because I think they did make the text. I think the light blue text is supposed to signify that it's for the robot. But I'm new to this game, so I haven't really gotten that in my head yet. So it's a little unclear about who's talking right now to me. So just something I wanted to point out. If you're going to do this comic strip speech box thing, make sure it's clear about which character it's pointing to. Because right now, just by looking at who it's pointing to, it looks like it's pointing to the ghost. So I just wanted to point that out. It's not a mechanical error issue, it's, well, user error. Wrong combinations of ingredients always lead to burnt cookies. So you just need the right combination of ingredients, huh? Sounds easy enough. I know you must be incredibly busy at this time of year, but I'd really appreciate your help with figuring this out. Of course, I'd be more than willing to pay in glimmer for your time. I do like the flirty options, though. I don't know, this one's kind of creepy flirty. I'll do it anyway, even though it's the creepy kind of flirty. With a face like that, paying me in your company is enough. See, even the ghost agrees I'm being a creep. He barely reacts to my half-assed flirt. Yeah. The ghost still stifles a small laugh, though. Thanks for your help, Gales. I'll be back tomorrow around this time if that works for you. I'll bring the ingredients and the recipe details, so don't worry about that. Sounds good to me. See you two tomorrow, then. Yeah, see, they have the text box with Gale's name in it, so I don't understand why they didn't just do the same for these two characters, too. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I guess that they're just going for the stylized look of a comic book for some reason, but this is a visual novel, not a comic book, so just pointing it out. Cepheus picks up the oven and gives me a small wave before he and Forrest slip out the door. I move to lock it behind them, flipping the oven sign to close. Tomorrow might be interesting. Wednesday. Another busy day in the books. I can't help constantly glancing at the clock as I finish cleaning up. I've already flipped the store sign to closed, admittedly a bit earlier than usual. As hectic as it is these days, I can still afford to take some time for myself here and there, right? Okay, I know that's just an excuse. I'm seriously excited to see how Cepheus's oven works. And it's not every day I have a guardian asking me for help with something, even if it's just baking cookies. The door chimes ring, and right on time, Cepheus arrives. Empty-handed? Oh, his outfit changed, didn't it? I like the sprite, by the way. Looks really nice. Sprite looks really cool. And the little ghost guy. Adorable. Hey, Gales. Hey, did you have a change of plans today? Oh no, it's just a little treacherous out there with the snow. So 4 will transmit the ingredients and the oven here just to be safe. He misjudged how deep the snow was and fell down a hill. Thank you for that unnecessary detail. The idea of the man before me and all his relaxed, elegant poise falling down a hill is both oddly endearing and comical. Moving on, should we get started then? Sure, the kitchen is back this way. I lead the way through the staff door to the kitchen. You can put this stuff right over there on the table. 4 floats over to the counter center of the room, and in a brief flash, the oven and various canisters of ingredients materialize on the table. Who needs multiple trips for your grocery bags when you can rely on that trick? I'm jealous. Awesome, you have the recipes? Cepheus pulls a stack of index cards out of his pockets, his lips curving into a frown. Shit, they must have gotten wet. From when you fell down the hill and into that snowbank? It takes all my energy to keep a straight face. Can I see? Cepheus hands me the stack of still damp cards. The ink is smudged in some places, but still legible in others. Is this your writing? Can't you just remember what you wrote? No. There are recipe suggestions from someone I know. She's like, everyone's grandma. It's her oven, actually. She encouraged me to make some cookies for people in my life, so I'm trying. Aw, guardians are more than just deadly killers. That's sweet of you. It's nothing, really. It takes my mind off the other things I'm asked to do. Sweet and humble. I count the recipe cards out. 4 cards. Any one of these you want to start with in particular? The first one. That recipe is for one of my Vanguard commanders, a man named Zavala. I look at the card he's referring to. Judarler Doodles? Let's see. Delicious explosion is visible, but the other ingredient is blurred out. What is delicious explosion anyway? Cepheus holds up a canister of what looks like yellow and red candied stars. They seem more like decorations than food, but they do look like small explosions. Upon closer inspection of the other ingredient canisters, their contents are equally bizarre. Splinter-like shards of glass, a peculiar milky substance radiating light, each is stranger than the next. Where did you even get these? Trust me, you don't want to know. I really do, but maybe I'm better off not knowing. And you're sure these ingredients aren't the reason your cookies are turning out badly? I'm not one to argue with old Ava. She says they work. Bring on the science experiment, then. I examine the blurred word on the index card. I'm pretty sure it's Ethercane. I think it's pretty obvious. Why won't it let me select it, though? Alright, we'll use the mouse. Good guess. I think it's Ethercane, too. Now I guess we can make up the cookie dough the usual way and add the special ingredients. Exactly. I'll have to rely on your knowledge of baking ingredient properties. I know these are a little unusual, but your experience as a baker will be valuable, I'm sure. They do resemble some ordinary ingredients I work with. We can make different batches to test different amounts of each ingredient. Sounds like a plan. We set about preparing the basic dough for the cookies. This part comes pretty naturally to me, considering it's my job. I notice that Cepheus measures ingredients with careful precision and takes detailed notes on a data pad. You're pretty meticulous with measuring, Cepheus. Just Ceph is fine, Gales. And yes, I approach cooking pretty analytically. It's a formula to me. Isn't it the same for you? No, it's just a lot of instinct and just having a vibe for how much ingredient I need. Yeah, I'm pretty analytical about measuring too. It's important to be consistent every time. I do a lot of baking, and no, I'm not very consistent. Like I half the time I don't even measure. Like if it's something I make all the time, I don't measure. I just put it in my hand and say, "Yep, that's enough," and then put it in there. A lot of bakers actually do that. I think very few people actually measure things out very specifically. If you've done it 100 times, you know how much you need. And it all comes down to taste, too, a lot of the times. Maybe it's the fact that I'm a warlock, then. Among all the guardians, we do have a reputation for being the straight-laced, bookish types. I kind of assumed you Guardians had your meals and stuff provided for. I never thought you'd have to cook for yourselves. You're not wrong, but I think it's an important skill to have. Not all Guardians live in the tower. Our jobs regularly take us to places where you have to provide for yourself. And rations aren't great. Make sense? I put the first tray worth of cookies experiments in the small oven and managed to set the baking time with the combination of buttons along the top. I can see the small logs inside begin to glow. All that's left now is to wait for each batch of cookies to bake. Then we'll have an answer for the right combination of ingredients for this particular cookie type. Meanwhile, diligent as he is, Ceph has already beaten me to the undesirable task of washing the mixing bowls and spatulas. Guess I'll start tidying up the leftover ingredients then. As I carefully close and move the canisters, my gaze falls on the bowl of leftover cookie dough. Curiosity gets the better of me. So these ingredients, are they actually edible? Are they magic? 4 pops up beside me suddenly.
We have it on good authority from a shady basement-dwelling conman that these ingredients are fit for consumption. Yes.
Fit for Guardian consumption. Most of these ingredients haven't been assessed for regular civilian consumption. I wouldn't risk it, Gales.
Fine. Technically, he's right.
What could possibly go wrong? Cookie dough is cookie dough. With Ceph at the other side of the kitchen, I might as well be unattended with the raw dough. Yeah, I mean, normally you're not supposed to, because if it has raw eggs in it, I don't think this has raw eggs in it, but I don't want to really taste it anyway. I trust my boring, better judgment and don't taste the forbidden cookie dough. Ceph finishes washing up and helps me wipe down the table. So, how did you end up owning your own bakery anyway? Oh, I used to work for the owner, Eduardo. After the Red War, well, I inherited his shop. My condolences. A lot of good people were lost in that war. The faraway pained look in his eyes catches me off guard. Wait, no. The old man's still alive and well. He just decided he didn't want to spend the rest of his days in a hot kitchen. He retired to teach couples dance classes to the hipsters downtown. Ceph laughs at that, the sound filling the kitchen and bringing a smile to my own face for some reason. I mean, usually when people laugh, it does make me want to smile and laugh too. So I don't think you need that for some reason. That's good to hear. That was generous of him to do. Yeah, it really was. A moment of silence passes between us, as if he's considering how to ask his next question. Do you like it? Running this bakery? You never felt like inheriting the shop forced you to stick around in this particular place? Well, it was a lot more work than I anticipated for sure. Owning a bakery comes with a lot of duties that aren't baking. Things like ordering ingredients, worrying about profit margins and payroll, not to mention the late nights and early mornings. I could sell it if I really wanted to, but no, I enjoy it. I mean, yeah, I like baking. I wouldn't mind owning a bakery. Well, maybe, I do kind of agree with them. I don't think I'd like owning it so much as working at one, but... Besides, it lets me meet handsome strangers in need of my help. Still a little creepy, but okay. Sure. Handsome, huh? Gales was obviously talking about me, obviously. Always keeping me humble, aren't you? I can't let all of Gale's flattery go to your head. Well, for what it's worth, I appreciate it. Cute. I look at the clock on the wall. The last batch of cookies is nearly done baking, but it looks like this might take longer than I expected for each recipe. For the other recipes, Ceph cuts me off with a shake of his head and a smile. Don't worry about them. Thanks to your help, I think I can probably manage. This took quite a bit longer than expected today, and I've already taken enough of your time. Whoa, hold on. I was going to say that we can work through them over the next few days if you want. When were you planning to gift them? The last day of dawning is Saturday, so as long as they all reach their intended recipients by then. But are you sure? That's a lot of time to spend with me. You say that like it's a bad thing. It was fun today. I'm sure we'll have all your recipes figured out by the end of Friday. No sweat. That's really nice of you, Gales. I owe you one. And Glimmer. The timer goes off, then for the final batch of cookies. As I remove them from the hot oven, I examine them closely. They look like ordinary cookies after all. Golden brown in texture, faintly smelling of cinnamon and sugar. This last batch is probably the best one, too. Seth's face light up with a pleased smile at the sight of them. These are perfect. Hopefully Zavala will like them. Worm materializes some packaging, and I help Seth put the cookies away. I'm sure you'd appreciate any gift from you, or... Yeah. I'm pretty confident now that an experienced baker was involved. 4 transmats, teleports, magics away into the ingredients and oven, and I lead the 2 of them back to the front of the shop. I unlock the shop door, and am immediately met with a gust of frosty night air. Have a good night, Gales. I'll see you tomorrow. See you then. Seth steps out into the snow, but 4 lingers for a moment even after the door closes. Hey, Gales, I wanted to chat real quick. I've been watching and wondering. You've been pretty flirty with Cepheus. Are you hitting on him? You can be honest. I mean, yeah, isn't it obvious? It's true that I have been flirting with him at every opportunity, I just can't help it, and the fact that he reciprocates makes me hopeful somehow. For what, I'm not sure. I thought so. You know, if you don't have anything else going on, why don't you ask him to stick around for coffee? I worry about him sometimes. He spends most of his time with other guardians, so it would be nice to see him make some normal friends, or whatever it is you two are developing. Well, I assume you're normal anyway. Ignoring his insult for a sec, I just realized that I didn't even know if Seth is single or not. Open my mouth to ask before apparently reads my mind and cuts me off. No, he's not seeing anyone and hasn't been for a long time. So yes, he's single, ready to mingle, down to for... he's... What? Was he really gonna say what I think he was gonna say? Oh, okay. Oh, he's summoning me, got to go. Well, good to know. And with that, he teleports away without even needing to use the door. I had no idea he could do that. Cepheus arrives a bit earlier than I expect today. I'm still ringing up a few customers when I see him enter. He gives me an acknowledging smile before he seats himself at the far side of the bakery. Enjoy the treats and happy dawning. I smile at the departing customer and turn to the next one in line. As I listen to their order, I can't help but notice the other customers taking peeks at Seth. He's too busy talking with Ford to notice, or maybe he's just used to it. Guardians always attract attention. And Seth is handsome to boot. I fully understand their desire to ogle him. Oogle? Whatever. So cute. Right, I wish I had one. I bet they make fun pets. Oh, so it was 4. I bite back a laugh and accidentally lock eyes with Seth. He angles his head questioningly, eyebrow raised. I just smile, diverting my gaze to the customer in front of me. I finally decided. The chocolate croissant, please. Of course. What feels like an eternity later, all the stragglers have left, and I can finally drop my customer service facade. Immediately, I feel the exhaustion set in, but seeing Seth's smile fills me in with a bit of renewed energy. You're running this place all by yourself? Oh no, that would be crazy. I have employees who handle the night shift prep and another who works here in the morning. I could always use another hand around the shop, but it's hard to find good help. Seems like everyone's fighting over the limited hiring pool right now. I wish I could help somehow. If only I weren't so tied up with Vanguard business. I wouldn't say no to a good-looking cashier. You'd bring in a lot of customers. Well then, it would be unethical of you to hit on me, boss. and I'd miss that. I gape at him silently, caught off guard by his directness. Why is Gales cut off by his directness? Gales has been direct this whole entire time. Anyway, you're here earlier than usual. I finished my meetings a little early, so I thought I'd drop by and enjoy your bakery ambience. I hope I didn't distract you. I'm sure he knows how well distracting he is. You're always welcome here. Let me just wrap up real quick. Feel free to go ahead into the kitchen. Sure thing, boss. I'd forgotten the sign on the door. Seth flips it to close without me even mentioning it. Man, it really would be nice to have him as an employee. How hard would it be to talk a guardian out of their duties? Oh, no, don't be like that. Let him be who he wants to be. I wonder how much the Vanguard pays them anyway. I'm still distracted by that thought as I join Seth and 4 in the kitchen. They've already laid out the ingredients and Seth is closely examining the recipe cards. We could have avoided this extra hassle if Ava had used a data pad. I don't know why she insists on using these cards. I like them writing things down like this as kind of quaint and personal, or yeah, I prefer keeping all my notes digitally, easier to organize and search. I do both, actually. Like, it depends on where I'm at and what I'm doing. But I'll say writing things down, because I do think I tend to write things down more. Well, if you say so, it sounds like an archiving nightmare. Normal people aren't exposing their precious handwritten recipes to the elements, Cepheus. Accidents can still happen in the kitchen. And you need to let that go. I fell one time. Yeah. Let's get on with the cookies already. Traveler donut holes. These aren't even cookies. I guess Ava wanted to add a little variety. It should be fine. I can make some donut holes. I expect no less from renowned baker Gales. Flatterer. I think I have an idea of what this says, but what do you think? I'm pretty sure it's this. It's a little obvious, but that's okay. I'd rather have it be too obvious than not be able to tell at all. So, if you're gonna do one or the other, have it be too obvious. Cowboy oil looks right to me too. Cowboy oil it is, then. I'm not going to question how this oven is able to cook donuts when usually they go in a fryer or a skillet. I'll just have to trust in the obvious magic that this device employs. Maybe if I treat it like baking bread. Wait. Seth? What's up? Is there a reason you're using this oven specifically to bake your cookies? It might be easier to use, my facilities. I gesture vaguely at the industrial kitchen we happen to be standing in. He chuckles like I've just asked an incredibly obvious question. As generous of an offer as that is, Ava's oven is special, so it kind of just works. Well, you can't just say that kind of mystical statement without elaborating. Is it enchanted? Is she a guardian too? I never considered that little old ladies could be guardians. She's not. She's a normal human, civilian human. Like you. Maybe I'll mention your bakery to her. I'm sure she'd love to drop by. Well, that doesn't explain much about the oven. Maybe it's golden age technology. Look, it's little old lady magic. Don't think too hard about it. You'll get a headache. Although I hate to admit it, Vor's probably right. I'll just focus on what I know best, baking and stuff. Okay. Flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, whisk, milk, butter. Wet ingredients into the dry. Once we prepare the oil with the rag cabo oil, it looks it really looks no different than normal donut dough. Before long, the donut holes are ready to be baked. I'm still not sure about just placing them in the ovens as is, but If Seth says it'll work, I'll believe him. While I'm doing that, he manages to beat me to the dishwashing again. You know, you can leave that to me, right? I can handle some dishes. I may be hiring you for your help, but I have manners, you know? While I'm not one to talk you out of it if you want to do it that badly, I'd appreciate the help. If anything, it gives me extra time for something else, a second cookie project. With no weird ingredients to worry about, the preparation takes me no time at all. I slip the cookies into one of the full-sized ovens and set the time. Clean up is all that's left to do, and it's comfortably quiet as Seth washes and I put things away. The smell that fills the kitchen is so divine that I'm reminded why I love being a baker. The small oven's timer goes off first. I carefully take the tray out with my oven mitts. Against all odds, their shape remains spherical and they look fully baked. They're soft and spongy with a firm outer layer. A light coating of powdered sugar and they're perfect. Traveler donut holes for a Cora. I don't know how Eva comes up with these, but they look great. As we package them up, my other cookies finish baking as well. Do you have a lot of baking to do for tomorrow? I can stick around to help a bit. I appreciate that, Seth, but no, my employees will handle that. These aren't for tomorrow. I thought it might be nice to have some. Normal is probably an offensive word here, right? And so would edible. Do you want to stay for a cup of coffee and cookies? If you have time, no pressure. Every millisecond of silence feels like an eternity to me. It's going to be so awkward if he says no. A cup of coffee? That's not a double entendre for something, is it? No, unless... His chuckle makes me self-conscious. You should be a little more confident, you know. I'm obviously interested in you. Although your hesitance is kind of cute, too. Anyway, I didn't answer. Yes, I'd be happy to stay for coffee and cookies. Coffee and cookies it is, then. Seth is seated at one of the tables while I wait for the coffee to brew behind the counter. You're going to have to temper your expectations here. This is a bakery, not a coffee shop, so my coffee is merely acceptable. He just laughs. I'm sure you're more than up for it with your baking skills. What kind of cookies did you make anyway? I place the plate of freshly baked cookies on the table in front of him. They're still warm. My favorites. Red velvet is one of my favorites. I love red velvet. Ah, the luxury of the cookie world, huh? Not sure I've ever heard them described like that, but sure. His amused reaction to my enthusiastic reply makes me pause. Are you psychoanalyzing my cookie preferences, Cepheus? He feigns surprise at that suggestion, but a smile tugs at his lips. Me? No. I just want to get to know you a bit better. I'm too distracted by the coffee being done to discern the truthfulness of that statement. I join Seth at the table with the tray containing the coffee pot and 2 mugs. He proceeds to add a meager amount of sugar and cream to his coffee. He must not have much of a sweet tooth. He gives me an appraising glance from across the table. What? It's just, your coffee seems fine. I'm a bit disappointed even. I was starting to anticipate trying a bad cup. Hey, I never said it was bad. I said merely acceptable. Pay attention. Seth laughs at that. You're beginning to sound like 4 now. Speaking of the little guy, I wonder why he hasn't popped out to join us yet. Is he trying to give us a one-on-one moment to hit it off? I should be grateful, but sitting this close to Seth is making my chest uncomfortably tight. His blue eyes are focused on me like I'm the only thing in this world right now, and being this close with no task to distract me has my own eyes wandering. To the faint scar on his neck, then the conspicuously missing portion of his right ear that I hadn't noticed before. Injuries caused by the same incident? You're staring a hole into me, Gales. I hope you like what you see, at least. Or, knowing how curious you are, you're wondering about this. He raises a finger to tap his ear, and I kick myself for being so obvious about my staring. It's fine, really. I'm as clueless about it as you are. When I was raised as a guardian, I already had these injuries. I guess something took a bite out of me in my previous life. You don't remember anything from your life before you were a guardian? It occurs to me now just how little I know about these vaunted protectors of mankind. Nope. Oh, that seems a bit sad. Haven't you ever wanted to know who you were before? The Vanguard strongly recommends against Guardians looking up their past. Being raised as a Guardian is supposed to be a fresh start. I do wonder about my previous life sometimes, but who I am now is all that matters, ultimately. That's one way to look at it, I suppose. I'm not sure how to deal with all that of myself. He takes a sip of his coffee, even though it's still heavily steaming. Must be nice to be able to insta-heal your mouth if you burn it like that. Me, meanwhile, I'm gonna wait or blow on it. My mouth is too sensitive for that. I'm scared to burn my tongue. Cepheus chuckles at the sight of me blowing lightly on my coffee. As endearing as that is, I don't think it's very efficient. If I have a more effective method, may I? I raise an eyebrow, carefully sliding my mug over to him. What's he planning to do? He touches the bottom half lightly with the pads of his fingers, and am I seeing things? A film of blue-tinted frost fractalizes on the outside of the mug from where his fingertips make contact. It's so brief I might have missed it if I hadn't been watching carefully. The frost vanishes and he slides the mug back to me wordlessly, reveling in my surprised reaction. Stir it first. I grab a stirring stick from the tray and do as he says, watching the coffee flow in spirals as I mix it. It looks the same, smells the same. It's just not steaming as much anymore. Is it safe to drink? I just cooled the outside base of the mug, so it's fine. I might get a talking to if the Vanguard finds out I used darkness powers to cool a mug of coffee, but what they don't know can't hurt them. Trusting his judgment, I rarely take a small sip of coffee. It's a touch cooler, but still warm enough to enjoy. If it's too cold, let me know. I can reheat it. You can do that? I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. It's not like I know all that much about Guardian powers. You've never seen a Guardian's powers? I take it you don't watch many Crucible matches. Those death matches between Guardians? No, not really. He holds his hand out to me, and I stare dumbly at his upturned palm for a moment. Your hand. Oh. Excited, are we? Hush, do the magic. His hand is softer than I expected, but it feels normal, nothing unusual. It's gradual, but slowly I feel the increasing temperature of his palm below mine. It's too fast and too hot to be skin-on-skin heat. No, this feels like his hand might get hot. It would interrupt into flames. So I'm taken aback as I pull my hand away, just in case, and he releases his grip. Sorry, too hot? I kept it relatively low. Well, let's just say I didn't realize how you could be hot in so many ways. Gosh. That was low? Okay, no, that was just terrible. Yeah, it really was. Well, you've summoned Mr. Judgment. Where have you been? Do I look like I wanted to sit around and listen to you two flirt? There's only so much of this I can suffer, through. Wrap it up soon, please. Don't mind him. Or vanishes again with a heavy sigh. So, of all the places you've been to the galaxy, what's your favorite? He furrows his brow at the question, slipping into deep thought. That's tough. Other than my bakery, of course. Really tough. Maybe the planet Nessus. Something about the green light of the atmosphere, but filtering through red tree canopies, or the tangled shore. It's just a bunch of asteroids haphazardly cabled together, but something about it feels comfortable to me. That's not the answer I expected. Sometimes the most mundane seeming places are the ones that are most beautiful. Spoken by someone who can go anywhere he wants. Earth is boring, and I haven't even seen most of it. I don't think it's boring. Have you always lived in the Lost City, then? My whole life. My parents came here because our old settlement was too dangerous. It is still dangerous out there, but I have hope we'll reclaim the planet someday. When that time comes, you might trade your bakery for any job you want out there. Still, I wish I could see it now, untouched and reclaimed by nature. I guess that won't ever happen unless I become a guardian, though. It's not a glamorous life, I assure you. Still, if I was one, what do you think I'd be? To be honest, I can't decide. From your mannerisms and personality, I think you could be any of the three. Hunter, Warlock, or Titan. Oh, you're very observant. That's kind of embarrassing, actually. Well, you interest me. There are just 4 harmless little words, but my stomach flutters at them anyway. It's been all fun and games so far, but it almost sounded like he meant it that time. Why would he be interested in me, anyway? I'm just an ordinary human. He probably means it in some mundane way, like a scientist is studying a subject. Yeah, that's gotta be it. Aw, don't say that, Gales. Just because you don't have superpowers, that doesn't mean you're not an interesting person. Ceph raises an eyebrow at my silence as he takes a sip of his coffee, and just when I think he's going to say something, his eyes stray to the clock on the wall. It's this late already? I should really be heading out. I'm sure you're tired after such a long day. That's fine, I enjoyed it. So did I. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night. At first I thought Foran might just wordlessly leave, but he pauses. I can sense you're desperate for feedback, so good work today, or whatever. I think he wanted to ask to hang out again sometime, but you might not get a chance tomorrow since you still have 2 recipes to get through. Don't fret though, you built a solid foundation. Thanks, Mr. Wingman, you're not so bad. Ugh. He disappears without saying another word. Well, it's been a long day, but a fun one. I got to know a bit more about Ceph, and if he's open to spending time together in the future, maybe this flirting between us could go somewhere. I'm a little bit sad that our little cookie project will wrap up tomorrow. We've only known each other for a few days, but there's clearly a spark there. It fills me with cautious optimism. For now, I need to clean up here and head home. Is there a spark? Because, I don't know, it's so far to me it seems a little bit shallow, but we'll see. We'll keep playing. I'll reserve my judgment until the end. Just a moment, sir. When Ceph and 4 arrive the next day, I've got my hands full at the register, and am simultaneously trying to sign for a shipment from the courier, waiting impatiently at the counter. I didn't expect this shipment to arrive right now, but I can't just leave all these boxes out here. Normally I'd close up shop at the end of the day and move them, but I have no idea how I'll manage to help Ceph with his last 2 cookie recipes while still having time to move everything. It's going to be a long night. Ceph must have noticed the troubled expression on my face because he leans over the counter as soon as I'm finished with the current customer. Do you need those moved, Gales? Just let me know where to. 4 and I can handle it. My face lights up at the realization. That's right. They could do it in the blink of an eye, couldn't they? I grabbed the keys to the storage pantry and tossed them to him. You're a lifesaver, Ceph. It's in the pantry. It's the pantry in the kitchen. Don't mention it. It's funny, he's the one who came to me for help, but ends up helping me. I wrap up with the customers and flip the shop sign to close before wandering back to the kitchen. I haven't heard from Ceph and 4, so I assume they have no difficulty finding the pantry. Sure enough, I find them lingering in the kitchen. Poking my head around the open pantry door, I find the boxes neatly stacked within, just near the entrance. I thought you might need to do inventory to make sure nothing was missing, so I didn't unpack them. That's perfect. It's already a big help that you move them. Usually that takes me a while, especially if I'm the only one working. Now I can focus on helping you with these recipes without worrying about the time. We have 2 recipes to get through today, right? Yep. Ceph passes me the remaining index cards. Telemetry tapioca. Wait, does this say bullet spray? Listen, I'm just about to assume that's not literal. That's for the best. Yeah, once again, a little obvious, but that's okay. I raise an eyebrow at the way Ceph's expression falls. You probably shouldn't handle that ingredient at all. It's liable to have some bad side effects on people if they have any physical contact with it, even guardians. And you brought this to my kitchen. I meant it to poke lighthearted fun at his oversight, but I can tell he genuinely feels bad about it. It's safe enough once it's cooked in Eva's oven, or she wouldn't have included it as an ingredient. And I'll disinfect the kitchen at the end, like usual. Wait, you've been doing that? I've been doing extra disinfection pasts myself, but I hadn't realized 4 could help.
The Vanguard would lose it if they knew we exposed civilian property to these ingredients without adequate sanitation.
I appreciate it anyway, I'll handle this recipe then. The Vex milk should be similar enough to milk that I should be able to substitute in the recipe. One batch should work. Oh, do you want me to get started on the other recipe then? We can do that one together. You needed to sort out your shipment, right? This will give you a break to work on that. Good idea, actually. Right. Alright, if you're sure. I pick up the inventory data pad from the pantry shelf and set about taking stock of the new ingredient shipments while Ceph handles the telemetry tapioca recipe. Sounds like you've been busy with this dawning between your duties and delivering these cookies. Did you get a chance to enjoy the dawning festivities, at least? Not really, if I'm honest. Our coffee chat yesterday was the first chance I'd have for a breather all week, maybe tomorrow. What about you? Tomorrow's the last day of the dawning. You saw how busy I was all week, so no, I haven't seen the festivities yet. We're closed tomorrow, so I'll probably come in during the morning just to clean out the front displays and I don't know. He gives an acknowledging hum in response, and it's silent for a moment until he speaks again. You're not spending the dawning with your family or friends? I haven't touched base with my friends in a long time. And family, well, I should, but I pause in the middle of writing down my next item on the datapad. If guardians are revived with no knowledge of their past life, don't they leave their families behind? You know, speaking of family, if things don't work out for you, Ceph does have a brother. What did I say about mentioning that insufferable reprobate? Don't. Then don't. I put down my datapad, distracted by how irritated Ceph sounds at the mention of this mysterious brother of his. My sudden curiosity only seems to deepen his frown, and he sighs heavily. He's not someone I want to talk about, frankly. If I had to spend the dawning with him, it would feel like an exercise in torture, not some fluffy family bonding moment. I'm just surprised. Is your brother a civilian? He's a guardian, to put it simply. You're better off not knowing him. I sincerely hope you never encounter him, though he does spend most of his time in the last city, so you may have the misfortune someday. I contemplate Ceph's features for a moment, wondering how his brother might look. It never occurred to me that someone as easygoing as Ceph could have people he dislikes being around. I mean, everybody has people they dislike being around. He's still a person, even if he's easygoing. Maybe they had a falling out, or he's obviously uncomfortable with my silent analysis, given the way he haphazardly shoves the cookie tray into the small oven and closes its door. That's enough of that. Don't worry. Eridanus might be gorgeous, but you've also got your own charms. That Gales obviously likes. Yeah, Four's right. It's not your brother I'm interested in. Sensing that he doesn't want to discuss it anymore. I mean, he did say that. He literally said that, Gales. Keep up. I mercifully changed the topic. You finished the telemetry tapioca cookies, right? So we can get started on the batter for the next batch. I pick up the last index card and Ceph visibly relaxes. Let's see, vanilla blades. The smudged ingredient on this card is much more visible, thankfully. Oh. I did it again! Sorry. I keep hitting this darn mic. Whatever this is, it's sharp, alright. Reminds me of thin shards of glass. Vanilla blades is pretty vague, so I decide on vanilla sugar cookies. Is Lord Shax even going to eat these? That man never takes his helmet off. It's the thought that counts. Ceph retreats to clean up and disinfection with 4 while I began combining the ingredients for the vanilla blades. The smell of fresh cookies wafts through the kitchen from the tiny oven, and I enjoy the scent for a moment. Before I catch the faintest hint of burning. That can't be right. The timer would have. Ceph, did you set the oven timer? Shit, I got so heated in that argument about Eridanus that I turn off the oven and frantically look around for oven mitts, but they're not where I usually hang them. Ceph is at my side in an instant, pulling open the oven door with zero hesitation. He grabs the heated tray, stifling a hiss of pain as he does so, and places it carefully on the cooling racks nearby. Ceph, why did you do that? For a moment I even forgot forget he's a guardian. I'm so shocked by the blatant workplace health violation I just witnessed. 4 floats to him, emitting a soft yellow glow. Right before my eyes, Seph's hand heals like he's never burned himself. Sorry to scare you like that, Gales. I couldn't let them burn because of my own stupidity. I'm fine, really. He holds his hand out for me for inspection as if to prove his point. Geez, if you want an excuse to hold my hand, there are better ones. I'll keep that in mind. I carefully examine his hand, looking at his unscathed fingertips and unblemished palm. Not a single sign of a burn. Guardians are insane. I've been through worse, I assure you. Still, that was unpleasant to watch. Don't do that around me. He closes his hand around mine, intertwining our fingers. My breath hitches in my throat at the gesture. His blue eyes meet my gaze, and he offers me an apologetic frown. I promise, and I'm sorry. Much as I enjoy holding his hand, I reluctantly let go. That small scare is over, and the telemetry tapioca cookies look mostly unscathed. We pick out the best ones and decorate with some blue icing that Seph managed to whip up while I was taking inventory earlier. I'm glad we were able to salvage these. Banshee does so much for me that he deserves the best. Just one more recipe to go. We're making good time. I return to where I left off with the vanilla blades cookie batter. The sharp flavor breaks up easily and mixes with the rest of the dough, giving an almost sparkly sheen to it. I shape the dough into individual cookies and place them on the tray, which seems to have already cooled. Being sure to set the oven timer properly, I focus on cleaning up now. The week has gone faster than I expected, that's for sure. I normally be looking forward to a restful weekend, but instead I'm wondering when Seph will drop by next. It's not an exaggeration to say that I enjoy his company. Health violations aside, he's made a pretty decent employee too. And the flirting has been a lot of fun. The back and forth teasing, the brief opportunity to hold his hand, it's been exhilarating. I don't want it to end. Seph's voice snaps me out of my thoughts as he joins me at the table, having finished his dishwashing. Has War paid you yet? I'll get him the account details, but honestly, I hope you're not about to say, don't worry about it. I refuse. You're getting paid. Alright. I grab the datapad from the pantry wall and navigate to the screen showing our account code. War's blue eye blinks, and I assume the transfer was instantaneous. It's 100,000 glimmer, if you were wondering. Seph is a rich boy. He can handle it. That's... no arguments. But, no. Fine. Good. It's hard for me to go back and forth like that. It's way too much, and he knows it. Still, I appreciate it. The oven timer goes off then. The sugar cookies, vanilla blades, come out well. They have slightly crumbly texture and smell of vanilla and citrus thanks to the orange extract I included. Perfect. I really can't thank you enough, Gales. You're more than welcome. I cast a furtive glance at the clock on the wall. We finished much later today, and I'm sure he wants to go home soon. We package the cookies up and head to the front of the bakery. Seph pulls on his coat and I unlock the door, bracing myself for the onslaught of cold air. I hope you don't mind if I pop by from time to time. I want to say something like, I should hope so with all the flirting you've done, but the words don't materialize, so instead I just smile and opt for a tamer version. Grown attached to me, have you? He steps closer, closing the distance between us. I have, though. I hope I haven't made a mistake in assuming it was mutual. What? No, yes, it's mutual. He relishes my reaction for a moment, his gaze lingering on my lips. Well, I'll see you soon then, Gales. What? Just like that? He opens the door wider and slips out with a smile, just flowing behind him with his usual judgmental expression. I close the door and lock it, my actions automated, my thoughts jumbled. I'm sure I'll be seeing him soon then. Saturday. Finally, a reprieve from holiday retail hell. It might not be the best time to close up the bakery, but we all deserve at least one day off during the dawning. Well, I say that, and yet here I am, idly meandering around the shop, even though I finished unpacking all that stock an hour ago. I should at least go visit my parents' house soon, if nothing else. Maybe a walk through the park to see the dawning decor before it gets taken down. There's a light tapping on the shop door, and it startles me out of my distracted planning. To my surprise, I see a familiar awoken through the glass. I open the door with a bit more enthusiasm than I'd planned for, and temper my reaction so he doesn't notice just how glad I am to see him. What are you doing here? Did something go wrong with your cookies from yesterday? You are too considerate for your own good. Nothing's wrong with them. May I come in? I smile as I move aside and he steps into the shop. Yesterday I went home and did some baking of my own. You mentioned a few days ago that your favorite cookies were red velvet, so I made my own attempt at them. They're not going to be anywhere near as good as yours, but I did try my best to put my own spin on them. He was up all night meticulously making them. Thank you for the cookies, please. Ah. A tin of cookies materializes in front of me on the counter. The cookies are painstakingly arranged and smell like they just came out of the oven a few moments ago. Thank you, Seth. They look amazing. No weird ingredients? No weird ingredients. I take a bite out of the cookies, savoring the soft, chewy texture and the warm white chocolate inside. They're so good. Are you sure you don't want to work here? Oh, please, don't flatter me. I'm glad you like them, though. That's not the only reason I came by. I told you I was free today, and you mentioned that you didn't have any plans, so I thought maybe you'd like to come see the dawning displays in the tower. They're pretty nice. If my heart could physically leap out of my chest, it would, trust me. Is this you asking me out on a date? Did we not have at least 3 dates this week already? You were heavily flirting with me. Then by your own logic, we've clearly passed the threshold for a first kiss, right? And you enjoyed it. I'll do this one. Ugh. Force like I'm out of here. His hand rises up to gently trace the side of my face down to my jaw. His bright blue eyes are focused on my lips, even as a teasing smirk pulls at his own. I swallow heavily in anticipation, and he leads in just slightly to torture me further. The kiss is usually at the end of the first date, though. Well, if you think of this whole week as one date, this is the end of the first date, right? You really are a stickler for the rules. Pout and hope he takes pity on me. I mean, all of the above. He runs his thumb over the bottom of my bottom lip as if to tease me. Look at you, winning me over with logic. I can't argue with that. He leans in, and I meet his lips with enthusiasm, wrapping my arms over his broad shoulders. His lips are soft and inviting, and I catch the scent of his cologne as he deepens the kiss, one hand cupping my cheek gently, the other resting at the small of my back. The moment feels infinite and too short all at once, and even as he breaks away, his eyes regard me with unspoken affection. I'm glad it was your bakery I wandered into, Gales. It all feels like a dream, but so am I. Now our date. Meet me outside in 5 minutes? I nod, all my words having escaped me for the time being. Aw, yay! That was the ending. How sweet. Alright, not bad, not bad. Pretty cute. Liked it. Let's see. Positives. I liked the art style, definitely. The sprite, the characters were nice. I liked the backgrounds. Characters, rather. I should be more specific. I liked the little ghost guy 4, and I liked the warlock guy. Didn't really... So the main character... Okay, we'll save that. Let me save that. Let's stick with the positives for now. We'll get to the main character later. I think the gameplay was alright. The little minigame thing was kind of easy, so it kind of made me wonder what was the point of having it at all. If you want to consider it a minigame, I mean, it was pretty obvious, but... I'm trying to think, what else? I like that you had the option to flirt or just be friends, so that's really nice. Especially since this is a strangers to lovers scenario, which I'll touch on that more in my constructive criticisms. And I liked that they kept it user-friendly, so even if you've never played Destiny, I get the feeling you could follow it, no problem. Alright, so on to the constructive criticisms part. So, even though they gave you the the option of doing the romance or not. I'm always going to take the romance options because I love romance, but I'm also really particular about romance. So it does the whole strangers to lovers thing, and my issue with it is the flirting and stuff. It was very shallow. It felt very shallow and superficial, which is to me kind of It's not romantic in my opinion. It came off as kind of creeperish, hitting on somebody you just met. It's not something I would usually do or recommend somebody doing if they're looking for something more meaningful, which is what I get the feeling. Like I think they were trying to say that this is eventually going to evolve into something more meaningful, but I just think it went a little too fast, a little too shallow, a little too fast, is how I feel about the romance. My suggestion would be, instead of making it a strangers to lovers, maybe have them not be strangers. Maybe he's been in the bakery a few times before and they've chatted a little bit, and the main character is kind of into him, not just for his looks, but because they think he's a nice guy or he's interesting about, going on adventures. He's told them stories and stuff before, and they want to get to know him better, but maybe they're a little shy. That's more the approach that I would have done if this was my story. Anyway, that's the approach to romance that I would like to see. But once again, at least they have the option to just be friends if you feel like it's being creeperish and it's going too fast. Now, my other issue is kind of connected to this, is that the main character's personality, it felt a little undefined, because at the beginning, like when we were doing the flirting, they were very direct, very straightforward, very shallow, not uncomfortable at all with saying, hey, I think you're hot, pretty much. I mean, and then, so it felt very much like the main character was the flirty and straightforward type, right? Stereotype type of, like they do this often with every single handsome person they meet. That's kind of the vibe that I was getting. But then later in the story, as they started to become closer, then the main character started getting more shy and awkward, like they'd never done this before. Like they're very unfamiliar with flirting and awkward, socially awkward. And I didn't really get a good sense of the main character's personality. And I get the feeling that, once again, it's because we're going from the strangers to lovers, and they're trying to, make it, they're really trying to push that obvious that I like you, I'm interested in you, even though we just met. But I don't think that that's really what the main character's personality is supposed to be like. I think it just felt kind of forced, because it was like forcing the romance. It's like, if you want romance, we're going to force it in that direction because that's what you want. That's how I felt anyway. So yeah, definitely some issues with the romance there, in my opinion. And that it felt forced and kind of out of character. And I could be completely wrong. Maybe I got the main character's personality completely wrong. And it could also be, a lot of times, like in visual novels, they try to leave the main character's personality undefined so that people can self-insert. And I get that too, but here I don't think that was the case. I don't think it was undefined personality so much as inconsistent personality. Because I did get some personality from the main character. It was just inconsistent. Sometimes they were being flirty, sometimes they were being shy and socially awkward. And yeah, so okay. I'll stop rambling now. I could talk all day about romance, I swear. But that's how I feel. So let's see. So yeah, my suggestion would definitely be, consider not doing if you're going to have them be flirty and direct like that, maybe have him not be a complete stranger. At least have them know each other so that they're comfortable enough to be that direct. So yeah, reading, I think I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. So it was good, but definitely flawed. The romance definitely could have been better executed. And the main character's personality was just, to me. But other than that, I did enjoy it. And yeah, so this is probably going to be my last winter jam game unless I stumble across one that I really want to play, because this is the last of the ones that I downloaded and tried. But I really enjoyed all the winter jam games, and I look forward to playing more jam games because I love jam games, you know? They're usually short and sweet and to the point, and I kind of like that. Sometimes you want that. So yes, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.